Buonasera. While studying in Florence, Italy, I had the opportunity to research Jacopo Pontormo's Dürer-inspired passion frescoes at the Certosa del Galluzzo Monastery. The presentation will give an overview of both the patron and the artist, provide images of the Passion series, and will more importantly examine the aesthetic and spiritual similarities between Dürer's and Pontormo's works, as well as the greater consequences of this flow of style and thought from Northern to Southern Europe. In order to fully appreciate Pontormo's work at the Certosa and its relation to Dürer, we must first look at the patron, the monastery itself. On February 8, 1342, Niccolò Acciaiuoli signed paperwork that officially put the construction of the Certosa into motion, as a means to demonstrate his generosity and as a means to save his soul. A product of the High Renaissance and an aficionado of Northern art, Jacopo Pontormo concocted his own brand of style. Although his beautifully composed yet woefully distorted forms pleased many, famed biographer and fellow artist Giorgio Vasari cringes. Now, did Pontormo not know, he asks, that the Germans and the Flemish come to these parts to learn the Italian style that we with such toil tried, as if it were bad, to abandon? It seems that time has forgotten Vasari's criticisms and has opted to appreciate the pioneer's innovation. Of his lasting contributions, Laura Giles remarks, together with his more radical compatriot, Rosso Fiorentino, Pontormo forged the manner and style that came to dominate Italian painting between 1520 and 1580, with its emphasis on eccentricity and refinement. Born Jacopo Carucci, Pontormo studied under greats such as Leonardo da Vinci, Mariotto Albertinelli, Piero di Cosimo, and Andrea del Sarto. Even as a rising artist, the young man attracted the attention and praise of established masters, including both Michelangelo and Raphael. Michelangelo is quoted as saying by Vasari, he will predict this art to the heavens. Now we'll look at these frescoes. In order to dodge the plague ravaging Florence in 1522, Pontormo sought refuge behind the nearby sheltered walls of the Certosa. There, he carried out a series of 5 frescoes depicting the Passion of Christ. These include Prayer in Gethsemane, Christ before Pilate, Way to Calvary, Lamentation over the Dead Christ, and the Resurrection. As one can clearly see, even through the year's worth of damage the frescoes have undergone, Pontormo based these investigations in style directly on Albrecht Dürer. This Passion series not only visually quotes Dürer's smaller Passion woodcuts, but also reflects the increasing mass availability of the media, as well as the broader religious climate of the time. The striking visual similarities between the two artists best demonstrate themselves in 3 of the 5 lunettes: Way to Calvary, Lamentation over the Dead Christ, and the Resurrection. Both these scenes heavily rely on strong diagonals that the wooden pikes and ladders create, converging at the heads of the crossbearer. Pontormo depicted the stage of the story where Simon had already taken Christ's burden, but in Dürer's, Christ still carries the cross. Similar figures additionally exist in both. Most notably appears the Veronica character, who offers her veil to wipe the sweat off the brow of the man carrying the cross. Moving on, one will notice the resemblance the 2 lamentation scenes bear. In both, the figure kissing Christ's feet anchors the composition to the picture plane, and together with the angle of Christ's legs, draws the viewer's eye to the instant's focal point, Christ's dead Christ's face. Pontormo directly draws from Dürer's attire, especially in rendering the Mother Mary and the man lowering Christ to the ground. Pontormo expands the background scope to include more of the crosses, but still draws upon Dürer's intimate setting created by the foliage and other wooden elements. The final fresco, the Resurrection, once again implements near identical visual vocabulary already seen in Dürer. Christ, for example, stands with his arms outstretched, left foot cocked, with rays of light emanating from his head. He additionally wears the same sort of draped garment and holds a staff. Perhaps the most interesting similarity rests with the sleeping soldier in the lower left-hand corner. Not only does he happen to wear the same brimmed helmet, but he reclines in nearly the same position, even down to the elegant dropped wrist. Instead of mimicking the print's background, however, Pontormo opted for a more celestial, abstract setting for his risen Christ. After seeing the strong visual ties, one might ask, why Dürer? What about Northern art fascinated Pontormo? One answer lies in the availability of Dürer's artistic forte, the print. A master of printed goods, Dürer seemed to have realized early on in his adult life that images replicated by the press were his, and even society's, way to the future. In his article dealing explicitly with Dürer's prints, Charles Talbot further explains, Dürer was a visionary in printmaking, but that did not diminish his attention to the business of publishing. Pontormo undeniably took advantage of this increased consumption and incorporated the imagery into his own works. The other answer lies with the changing religious currents rolling in from Germany. Craig Harbison makes the connection between Pontormo's later works and steps towards church reformation. He affirms, there is no question. At the time of the Capponi Chapel decoration, completed in 1528, that Pontormo consciously articulated a heretical or even fully evangelical program. But in his work, and possibly in others from this decade, there may be unconscious leanings in the direction that it seems almost certain Pontormo's later work took. Seeing that Pontormo's work on the Capponi Chapel took place a few short years after his Passion series, it makes one wonder if these ideas of religious revision had already worked their way to Pontormo and influenced his intense attraction to the northern artworks at the Carthusian monastery. In any case, whether the Capponi Chapel clearly indicates Pontormo's inclination toward Catholic evangelism, it does seem to evidence an artist sensitive to the religious equivocations of his time. After a thorough examination, Pontormo's Passion series does more than just visually mirror Albrecht Dürer's like-themed prints. It shows the flow of ideas from one region to the next through art. This imitation of northern art allowed for the spread of its visual qualities as well as the associated ideas and beliefs. In his Solitude at the Certosa, Pontormo indeed exemplified how a religious movement can gain support through advancements in the art world.
Thank you.